less risk. And that might be something to pay attention to throughout this heat, as those dead side rotates on the edge of the map might end up being really strong. So if you see any good performances from players doing that, that's a key factor to pay attention to.
Yeah, those empty zone situations where you're on one of the sides that don't really have congestion. Wow, nice shot there from Light. This is the person we were talking about just previously. Really good player, consistent over time, and this is why Hellfire 2 taken out. Light is just playing this perfectly for solos, just setting up traps over and over, knowing exactly where people want to rotate, and boxing up right beside there with edits ready. And he might find his third. I don't think he needs it right now. He has such an upgrade of loot. He can just play for the last back half of this game, but it's all his moment.
What did he get from that, though? Only one of those elims was he able to actually loot up. I know he wanted more, but extra players came down to scavenge what Light had achieved. I thought that those two elims were going to make him basically a favorite to potentially get towards the top 5 in this game, where the biggest placement prizes are awarded. But given the fact that he only gets one and he only stays at 75 total builds, maybe that's not the case.
Got to be very careful, though, if you're Light, Jamside, or anyone in this little bit of a treehouse box build fight. There's another shot. I was about to say, it's going to be very easy to pick up eliminations back to back. Good for Jamside, taking out Bercolino. But it's going to be very tough to rotate after this. It's so secluded, so isolated, this position. Everyone is letting these fights happen. As soon as these guys move, all eyes will be on who comes out of the forest. I don't think these guys will be able to survive that run.
ADN, a recent solo Cash Cup winner. Cartoon, who played significantly well throughout the qualifiers. He's 40 below, but 2 players need to go down, and there's a free elim inside of the box for him. Well done. That's 5th zone, the half in, half outs, where we start to play that end game, where we start to get this moving zone idea going in a competitive Fortnite game. It is poised to go west, and that's where a significant number of players are. You can already see Andalex has gotten a significant spot on height. There's Toos as well, potentially in the 5th zone, and potentially again with Kit Shockwave launch. We'll get confirmation on that a little bit later, because that could be a sign of Toos's reign.
But Tate is the one that's kind of been dictating where anyone can move, where they can go. Ever since we saw him take that first elimination out into the storm, he has high ground right now, which is very important when these zones start to get smaller and smaller. Lets you use less mats when you rotate. Lets you shoot down on people without really any pressure from anyone else. If you're in a position like Floki, you're going to want to have crash pads and launch pads to be able to move around mid-ground and really rotate fast. He has those. He's just waiting to see where he wants to go in game number 1.
And his setup is out of Rickety Rig. He's been dropping there all season long, so looks to be like he's doing well in that regard. No elims just yet, so something to consider. The 2 points that have come through for placement is what he has right now, a guaranteed launch pad and mobility out of that. Nice play, heads up to see another player in a box that he can go ahead and take that wall, because that player is distracted, focused on something else, focused on another player in the vicinity. But when you come into these end games, there are literally so many. Now's the time for him to go for the loot. He potentially could go grab it, but no. I think that it's fallen in the hole, and that might be too risky for him to take.
He'll jump straight out. The whole lobby will just soar and move straight as the zone does. Remember, these zones are starting to move now in this end game. Janus is going to be trapped near the bottom. Not really in a pressured spot. He's all the way ahead of where everyone else is. He has time to do what he needs to do, but still has to readjust his sightline, readjust his position so he can be right with the zone.
A bit of a fumble on that zone right there. Takes a number of ticks, but I'm sure he's in now. Yes, it was about 4. Reason is still up in this game, and I saw him get 2 elims thus far. Janus has had a couple as well. I believe up to 3 elims for him. This is the time for these guys to start potentially looking for a couple more elims as they get their way in the zone. There's another one, Janus. Yes, it combines, and look at the crash pads in his inventory. 12, that will last forever.
12 crash pads, this man will have the opportunity to make a bounce house in this entire endgame, and 35 children might be there to bounce right along with him. 25 shield, though, has to be careful to get a little bit more. The crash pad actually stopping him on the rotate. Reason is the one flying right past, but Tate still has high all the way up top, and Lex in a box fight down below. It's complete chaos on all different layers, and no one's really going down just yet. Still 31 people left alive, and Lex picks one up. ST's looking for his next spot, the trap being set, and AR will be the thing. He beams someone all the way to the backside of zone, gets that elimination, moves out afterwards.
And Alex and Marvel have now fallen. Floki's still a target to go up. ST will crash pad into another box, and yes, that player's stuck. The stairs even traps him a little bit more. It's ADN, and he grabs Jules' glider gun. That could be the key. I saw Mitro go down in the top 25, which is a good sign for him, but where does the rest of this game go? Who is still up on height? I haven't seen Deuce's name fall just yet.
Not yet, but it could at any moment. It's so hard to survive here on a Fortnite endgame. 17 people left alive. Wise is going down. ST is still all the way up front, almost hitting double digits of points. 2 eliminations. He's playing placement. Wolfie is alive in this endgame, picking up another one. There is the never mind. Onto Wolfie. He's going down.
And 2 pickups from the epic AR of ST. That's a couple now for him. Floki's still up, and Tooth just launched somebody out, but he fell to Fusion. Fusion might now have picked up that shockwave launcher, but Janice is up, and he's launch padding up on height. He takes it. Janice has height, but still needs to contend. Janice another shot up on Fusion as he launches his way forward with a crash pad. Now I believe that shockwave launcher is out of contention. That means Janice on height has free reign.
Dropping down from the heavens and landing a blessed shot. What a play from Janice. Floki PCH will be the ones to basically take all the rain of his fire all the way from up top there. It starts now. Janice is beaming down on the right side of your screen. You can see Floki. He has to adjust. Ultimate low ground. What a shot from the right side. ST, though, is surviving right in front of him as he's looking to control the ultimate low ground. Now Janice is still up top. Floki in the storm. Another quick pickup. And now it's 3 people left. Janice up top. Floki and ST down with a fight. 1v1. Janice is the one to third party it, though. He's dropping down even lower. ST with the quick drop down. A trap set and gotten. ST now with so many eliminations, he picks up another. It's a final 1v1 between him on low ground and Janice on height.
And Janice, I believe, 6 eliminations right now against ST, 6 as well. So it's going to be a duel for this first place. It's white HP on Janice, but the shot's not coming through. Yes, the right shoulder peek over ST, and he wins out against the shockwave launcher that Janice picks up. So the story continues. These battle of mythic items continues, and Janice falls in second place, and ST takes the victory royale.
What a nice amount of movements and plays, though, from everyone all the way till those final moments. So many specific, interesting things happened. If you missed it, we have the analyst that's to break it down. Let's throw it straight to them and see what they've got for us.
A close game between ST and Janice. Janice being the FNCSI Invitational Champion. Reliving that moment, saying, guys, I have done this back then. I can run this back, right? What a strong showing here in the first game. Wouldn't you say, Sundown?
A really consistent performance out of him, but ST blowing the top off in that first game, 7 eliminations, and taking the victory royale moment at the end. That 4-point swing going to be the difference between him and Janice, but them occupying 13 of the early eliminations and really pushing themselves up and establishing a good foundation and a good case for making their way into the top 25.
Let's take a look at the standings. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, it's what you expect from someone like Janice specifically, right? This is someone who's been at the top of his game. You saw even Tayson have a phenomenal day yesterday, but here's a look at your leaderboard. Like we mentioned, it's the victory royale that's going to separate the two there at the top. That 4-point swing could have went either which way, but ST is the one who's going to, of course, secure that. Floki had a phenomenal game. We saw his perspective. 5 eliminations there, Sundown.
Yeah, the supremacy player pilfering as many points as he can. Good job coming through. PCH also at 12 with K2 SNWAD. Also right behind him, Crash's Rezon and Team Queso's Yuri with 11. Excel's Wolfdog, a.k.a. Wolfies, with 10. And then you can see as we flip on over to the next page. But the key is, what is the pace for top 25? And we talked about averaging 5 points and needing to kind of stay on that. You can see Swaps Hutty, Jachu, Toos, Shadow, Fusion, Andalix, Nate, ADN, and Rax all on pace so far. And right now, Mr. X at 6 points with 0 elimination. That is Sammy also hanging out right around there, will be that line to enter. Mongrel just on the outside looking in, but not too bad of a start for him.
No, I would say this is a great start for anyone. Like you said, if you're on par with that 5-point or so game, you're pretty much there. You're right above or right where you need to be to qualify. Of course, you got to push a little harder, but that's what you expect of these best players. There's always going to be that pop-off performance that we expect for the people that are on their groove on their day. So if you're just getting points, getting eliminations, I think you're pretty happy.
That projection being the 30 points that you need to make it in. You must be this tall being 25 to make it to grand finals tomorrow. Now, boys, let's go ahead and do kind of a check-in with the players that we kind of talked about in the very intro of the show, discussing some of the players, notably, we'd probably want to keep our eyes on.
Well, I mean, Janus is definitely one. You talked about him being that FNCS Invitational winner, taking second place there right away and establishing himself in the beginning. You talked about kind of making sure you're getting eliminations and getting into the late game. The reason we stress on that so much is while you can be taking these kind of early and mid-game fights and flying at people, if you're able to just work your positioning, you'll get more opportunities to safely secure eliminations, and that's something Janus does particularly well. On the flip side of that, somebody who just likes to run at you and prove they're absolutely better is Excel's Wolfdog. He's pushed himself up into that 9th spot by mainly taking those early and mid-game fights, converting them into elimination points. I believe he has one of the highest averages in terms of the amount of points coming from eliminations versus placements. So we'll see if he can continue that pace as the competition gets tougher and tougher.
But I want to just talk about that strategy. I want to reference this to the Mr. Savage playstyle from yesterday. He had a struggle of the day. 16 eliminations, but barely any placement points. I mean, when we say we were almost looking at a grand finals without Mr. Savage, like that was a near reality yesterday. It's because that playstyle. Wolfies is no different. He mirrors it. He is a confident player. He's one that likes to bulldoze through builds and really get into the thick of it. He's one to, I guess, start a fight, right? He's what we call the aggressor in the lobby. And that is the type of player that gets punished. That's the type of player that can easily fall behind and lose their prestigious games. There's only 6 opportunities here.
That's true. And, what do we have to do, right? Because we have to remember, first, it doesn't really make a difference as long as you're hitting that top 25 bracket. So for these players at the top, they have a very strong start, as you guys have said. And to echo that, the projection is 30 points. So what should we expect? What do these guys need to do to make sure they're staying ahead and just holding? Because at the end of this, you want to make sure that whatever happens, someone doesn't overtake you in the leaderboard.
Yeah, particularly in this.
Sorry guys if it lags, but
it's so much room for people to have huge games. It's like, yes, you can expect a monster game at a Mongrel, a monster game at a Wolfies, a monster game at a Metro at some point in time. They're all capable of doing that. But if one player is eliminating a large chunk of the lobby and occupying a mythic weapon or two, that means you aren't. And when all of a sudden you have 4 or 5 players who are requiring one of those games to get through, it rackets up just kind of the level of tension and each one of the pressure that goes into the fights, whereas opposed to the players who are able to get themselves established, get 3 or 4 points here, get 5 points here, get maybe one top 10 game in game number 3 or 4, it becomes much easier than having to rely on that big 11, 12, 13 point game.
This all goes to the fundamentals of where you touch down. I mean, we saw an iconic clash, honestly, between Noah and Lentwick, both of which land on the southern portion of the map. So naturally, if that zone pulls far north, those are the competitors you're going to go against. They eventually, ultimately cross paths at the southern peak. And Lentwick got the best of Noah that time around. They're both notable players, right? We want them to see them in grand finals.
That's right. Well, guys, we don't have to wait much longer to get back into these games. Let's send it over to the casters to jump on out of the Battle Bus.
Thank you so much, Zeke. And it's time for new names to rise. SD there in the first game, showing up. He didn't make any of the round 3s, but he is here to show that he has what it takes to perform and potentially qualify for the grand finals, maybe even after one of these really nice games. All he has to do now is play slightly consistent, but he doesn't need another one of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different names that need to rise up with him. We saw Moki getting taken out immediately with a sniper rifle shot. We saw multiple people in game number 1 not getting a chance to have a voice in this game. Game number 2 is that of redemption, though. A lot of people will be playing it that much harder. They'll be adjusting their strategies, their loot pads, and I'm curious to see what has changed in all these game plans.
And there he is. The Dirty Docks, Esti. One of the strongest spots here. Typically, we do see a number of good performances out of Dirty Docks, but not necessarily the winning ones. So I'll have to see if he can change that. It's not a spot since the squad days where Mongol and crew ended up trying to go here for quite some time, but ever since then, it's kind of been lacking in the big presence, the powerhouse presence. That might be changing, though. 21 points for Esti after that first game. That was so stellar.
I'm liking the way he's playing Dirty Docks. Usually a lot of people play it passively. They go for their loot route completely and end up exiting because they want to play for the placement, the top 75. But he's taking fights. He's looking for that Elam potential, the 1 point you can get every time you get one.
Between Yuri and on the other side, over at the Orchard, a very strong spot. He's looking at, he wants to crash pad in. You can already see the stair placement, but he's just trying to track, and I like what that player has done down below. He almost gets the stair and tracks in that box to be able to make the edits, but he's staying in a contained space where you can't actually throw that stair crash pad, making it difficult for Uri to actually break into this box.
Tried to crash pad right there to recover, but didn't actually land in. Expects his opponent's 1 and 2 big charge pumps straight to Dadoi's face, and easy for Yuri to pick that one out.
And that's only the third player to now fall. Yuri gets the benefits of that and has Orchard now a little bit to himself, especially how early this was. But the zone moving now. Thankfully, he didn't take too much damage, although has to spend a couple of those shield potions, and that's the damage that's done. Oh, Janice setting up a trap. This could be huge. That door closed. Potentially a chest in there to bait Kenswood in. He's going to. I don't think he expects. Here comes Janice. He misses the shot. Just barely tags, and now all of a sudden it's a different story. Crash pad out. And he does get him through the air. He's flying. And so is Kenswood back to the lobby. Janice sets up a beautiful trap.
What a smart play from Janice, then he just brings it everything, all of it right back home. Steamy Stacks is something you can't just take easily away from the reigning solo champion so far, so we'll see how long and how much he can get out of it. Around the map, though, there are other spots with multiple fights going down, and it's not the same way you can win out these POIs. Misty Meadows, kind of hard to set traps, and people are very vigilant about all these houses. They like to take control of a specific one, like Peppa Pig is doing right here. And there's a quick shot. Didn't actually land it down, though. The trap was not set like we saw with Curry, but it's fine. He still gets it down on a Hellfire. And another L dance. These guys are keeping it spicy.
Yeah, that they are not on theme at all with the brands. This is not a children's show, clearly. He's throwing all sorts of trash talk on the other way, and that's important in these heats. Trying to solidify your spot so that you have what it takes. I mean, we've seen a number of winners come out of Misty Meadows in previous tournaments. But it's all about conditioning and figuring out and forcing other players to play how you want to play and not the other way around. A lot of times that just means you carve out that space and you roll from there.
These guys are all kind of sharing a relationship, though, on what they want and need to play this game. Everyone wants those crash pads. They want to have the ammo to make it to endgame and rainfire down. That's why you see people getting into fights, conflicting, trying to have control of these items. Omega will be one to try to wrap out this fight. His opponent is so low on HP, but him being up high without building gets sniped from a long distance. Does not know where the other opponent is. Now, his fighter is going to take the advantage and go for some shots. Omega is really on the back foot now. Just one flopper left, no shields. Every edit will be such a risk to take. He has to be very careful. Looking for the next shot. Wooden wall, one pickaxe away from Eminent Doom. Omega has the double edit, possibly, though, to take. It's up against Ensar, who has that shield.
And we've seen these early fights be so important in the heats. And then moving to the grand finals, things change a little bit now. Ensar, though, he's going to go over top. Misses the shot, gets chucked down a little bit, but they're starting to run out of materials. He falls, and Omega rises. As a champion of that fight, very important for him because it's only 2 points. Now he's gotten himself a little bit more space, but is it actually going to matter? Something very crucial to note, here in Sweaty Sands, we saw so many important fights actually break out in duos at FNCS, where Andalex and Nate took out Marvel and Benji Fisher to hold them from qualifying for the Grand Finals, and that gave them Sweaty Sands uncontested in the Grand Finals. So things like that are crucial to think about when we're watching these heats.
And fights are so important. Why is that? They give you momentum overall to push through into the rest of the game. Reason gets in that box. If you don't have people contesting you, you can find people on rotation. Nice pickup from him. His loot is looking stellar. He's got chuck splashes, a pepper too, that speeds you right up, makes you move faster than everyone else. And with 89 people left alive, he's going to need that speed to get to the next moment.
Now we're looking back earlier in the game. It's Moki with a sniper rifle, and I'm guessing that this is the demise of the other player who's looking to get a snipe of his own, but you can't stay still for too long because Moki, sitting in the swamps, is lurking in the shadows with a sniper of her own. There's an Elim, and that's starting back up what she missed out on the last game.
Hey, if you can't beat him, join him. Taken out by a sniper before, picking one up after that, and easily turning the doom she had in game number 1 to a benefit in number 2. But look at who she has to face now. Mongrel is kind of just stopping her. The lighthouse on the beach, pushing her away from landing ashore. But she has a position to snipe from, her little base of a boat.
Oh my goodness. Thankfully, Mongrel 2.0 is not taking that shot as an insult, not taking that as a sign, hey, hold on, you're somebody who made me angry. Because that would have been a very wonderful fight to look at, but unfortunately us as viewers, we get robbed. But what we don't get robbed is both of those players in endgame. Light, we saw have some early mid-game fights. Isn't another one potentially against Esty here at Dirty Docks, unless he's already left, and I have to guess that he has already out through the north side where that zone is continuing to go, which is the same way that it went in that first game, mind you, very close up north.
Everyone's going to have to go straight sky high, similar to the amount of earnings in this heat for players. $5 million almost. Everyone has collectively from playing Fortnite. Let that sink in.
What is that, man? That is a crazy stat. We've got potentially 4 millionaires in this heat, and people now trying to earn more prizing this Grand Finals FNCS. When it comes to Grand Finals, you know, those prizing payouts are quite large. So who's it going to be? Who's going to get the Axe of Champions this time around? It's the big question. That's what we're going to find out tomorrow. Right now, we're just trying to figure out who is going to be there. 25 more players to join them at the end of these 6 games. And we're in only game 2.
Here might be one going down straight fast again. Mr. X has a nice shot landing and a lot of control over all these builds. Has the edits to peek through and land another quick attack shot. But things are going to slow down in this fight. These guys are basically both on a mountain that overlooks everyone else in this mid-game. And they might want to hold that position a little bit more than lose it while fighting.
This is one of the best positions in the game when it comes to first zone spots, second zone spots. But when it's shared like this, it gets a little scary because obviously the reason why this spot is good, you can look out on all the players rotating at the bridge, down behind you at the little lake house, and take these tags that will position you for Storm Surge if necessary, potentially find a couple little sneaky elims. But as you can see, Mr. X, he's not worried about that. He's gotten what he needs, and he's paying attention on the other side. One try from the other player, Vortex. If he starts to spray that AR against somebody else, that could be the cue for Mr. X to hop in. Thankfully, fully built brick walls on all sides that Mr. X can see through. It's going to be hard to break in.
If he does break in, look at the reward. Glider gun here for Vortex. If he gets it, but fast edits makes him right in front of the face of Mr. X, and he gets taken out. You have that gun for long range. Won't matter, though, if you have a shotgun that can do the same close by.
And exactly what I was saying. Mr. X was looking for it in that case, but Vortex is prepared. And thankfully, it has to be a crash pad over top, and he goes for the deep angle because of the way that those builds were positioned, so it does not work out. Vortex was paying attention, and he will get his way. on the other ends. Now looking at some other people who are trying to base up and also get that damage down. Mitro, ADN, Nate, all next to each other, all stellar players. 83 players up. This will be a wild surge. But contrasting the positions up on the mountain, down here in the lake, there's really not much to shoot at. Thankfully, though, there's a couple of Marauder packs that might actually make it so that these to shoot at. Thankfully, though, there's a couple of Marauder packs that might actually make it so that these players on the other side who are getting completely pushed by these Marauders have some openings. And there it is. An opening onto ADN through the window. Nate capitalizes.
Yeah, and he has to follow up and try to get the loot. If he wants to just get all the way full back on match, he's going to go for it. Has to move past all the different Marauders.
So risky. We just saw Mitro go down to the exact same thing. The Marauders third partying. And I think Nate thinks better of that, especially as there's another two players who've entered. That's Cartoon and Syndra. Nate now, though, he's going to box for it. He's going for that wall. We're going to skip over and see where SD is. He was still sitting in Dirty Docks, and he's got a really, really easy position to actually move through the game and play that empty side of zone like we talked about in Game 1.
This is the man who won game number 1, and this is his first FNCS Finals. Mentioned it a bit before, too. It's really interesting to see a new player and how he rises up top of all these different big names. Toos, Mongrel, Mitro, Letwick. He's playing better than all of them right now and is setting up these plays of control, basically. Losing some, though, in this fight. I don't think he really wants to fight in general. Just going for a few tags here and there that might actually make a few people mad, though. Lowless will be the one on his box, not letting him get this for free by any means. Going for a box fight, SC takes the first shot with nothing to really respond with. Lowless, 150 HP in total. But look to try to wrap things out. He's the aggressor here. He's trapping SD all the way on the backside. No chance for him to really escape without making a whole new base. He does not want to do that. But has the shields to make this fight last.
Oh, no. Good response from Lowless on the backside. Thankfully, the reverse stare will buy him some time. Floki has gone down, who was in our top 5. But on the other side, Lowless only has 2 points. He got an elimination in the top 75, but fell slightly outside the top 50. This is what makes these good players consistent right here. SD is playing smart, disengaging from a fight he knew he did not have much to win in, especially after already losing a couple of trades.
And he's not disengaging to somewhere completely random, right? He knows that this house is available and it's here. He has these contingency plans set up just in case things go wrong. That is separating him from the pack.
The crash pad play set up from PCH to go in the box, and yeah, it's an easy find. One tag shot with the reduced damage that comes with this season, and it still makes it work. PCH must have had information to make that play. That's why he had that confidence, and he's even having the confidence to spend a couple extra crash pads to make sure he gets in with no more shots put down on him, no more HP lost.
Away from Dirty Docks, it just looks like the Wild Wild West if you're not in a POI. Builds everywhere, crash pad plays, people committing to these 50-50 fights. And it's just a lawless land completely. Cartoon trying to survive as Swaps kind of looks around for his next target, his next outlaw. And he's got 6 crash pads to get into that box, a little bit of shield too, in case he takes damage. But now everyone's kind of switching over the pacing of their game. They want to slow down, find a base on edge zone, and just try to beam people out. These people who are moving in late, though, like Swaps, will get tested as they build their base. A lot of people will be able to spray walls as they're being generated. Nate, one of them. But Reason, Versa, Mr. Sohn, everyone is here already based up, following their game plan. Swaps, being a new boy on the block, is looking for a nice, easy shot. An outlier that someone really didn't take into account to have this position. Just look at the mini-map. So many people on this left side of the zone. Still looking for the next shot here. It's close, and there it is. Nice onto Mac Ball. An instant reaction needed for that shot, and it was perfect by Swaps.
That wall edited in that manner made it so difficult as that player trying to establish control of the space, trying to build out the 2x1s, but Well done from Swaps to get control of that wall. Get the blueprint edits, which allows you to edit from range while the player's in the other box. And because of that, just one more charge shotgun shot where, unfortunately, you don't really know what's going on that side as you come back through that box. There's a gap, and Swaps takes advantage of that. Really, really nice technical play that puts you in the top tier of finding these impact eliminations in these further zones, the mid-game, still developing. Fourth zone, 50 seconds until that starts to close and we start to approach the end game. But again, a lot of congestion down on the southwest side. Exactly the thing that we saw happen in game number 1. Who is taking advantage of that northeast? Even though we saw the fifth zone go in this direction closer to where we're watching right now, that's not always going to hold.
If it doesn't hold, this is what can happen. Shots taken easy for Carmi. And now he has 6 points, rising closer to that top 10. Loot to boot as well. He wasn't looking that good before, but now the options of chug splashes and floppers will make his game really nice.
O'Reilly, who fell earlier, you remember the engagement between him and Letwick. Toos also got an elim, by the way, just as we tuned in with Noah. He's on the south side trying to rotate through dirty docks, where he might encounter the game 1 winner, ST. Noah, though, doesn't encounter him. He encounters Agony, and it's a quick elim for him. And look at this. Nobody really in his path. Also, a lot of builds to be able to work through. He actually doubles back to go on the back side of this, but Juker, you've got to move. Zone's starting to move. Noah's trying to wait for him to build a path for him that he can use, but they're going to end up on low ground, which might not have been the best opportunity or play.
Oh, wow, PCH with another elimination. He's getting closer to first place so far for this heat. 15 total points. Closer now to third or second place. 2 eliminations already. He's looking for his third, just baiting out this loot, setting up another trap. He's been so good at that today. And it's just game number 2. An RPG in his face. A good block. He's running out of match, though. He needs to find something out of these eliminations rather than just the points. He needs to get in there, get those materials, and find a better way to play this game.
I'm concerned. He only has 1 box that RPG makes all the walls weak, as you have to rebuild them. And when you start building those, it doesn't have the potential of the maxed out brick wall or metal wall. Thankfully, he does get that second box down and has room to stop the lobby focus. Pit zone has been revealed. I'm wondering where it is. South, yes, on top of Mongrel, on top of Noah Riley. On top of so many players that we just looked at in the wide shots. Mongrel found an elim, actually, I believe, from zone or fall damage. No, it's Surge. I believe that what just happened is Surge went active. Mongrel had done damage, and this player went down immediately as it got activated.
Storm Surge, if you're not dealing that damage, it will start to smite you. 25 damage a tick every 5 seconds. So minis can save you and keep you alive for a little bit, but you've seen all these players and their loadouts. They've invested so much to make these rotations. It's very tough to still have shields. Vortex, though, has been playing perfect so far. 500 damage almost above Surge. 2 eliminations. His mats are looking perfect. And look at that loot. 6 peppers, lasting 1 minute each. He could start popping them now, and he would have super speed till the end of this game.
So much time, but often people don't actually prefer the peppers. Although it looked like at the beginning of the season might be a different story. He'll open up again, get a couple more tags. That player base is up near him. There's another guy. Oh, he knows. Yes, that is not a safe box. Oh, Belvide is now down. Vortex. This time he's the aggressor. This time he sees the opportunity and does not have to defend. Belvide, unfortunately, trying to go on that player he thought was weak through the cone. That's a perfect pickup from Vortex from up high.
Another man near the top 10 is Wolfies. He's used to being up high, used to being first, especially after the first few games. If there's someone who can really give us a show in this endgame, it has to be him.
I'm curious, too, where Janice is. These guys are all so close after that first game, and it's, again, a zone that favors the players who came first and second in the last game. Wolfie's trying to strike again, bring his power to bear. He made it towards that end game, but it was Esty who took him out. out of contention for the top spots. 14th, he will drop into another box and take out another one in perfect time, because now mats are back, upgrades are bound, and also crash pads to take, and even some swappers too. So Wolfies has all the tools at this stage of the game.
He's looking so adaptive, basically flowing like water into boxes, playing this endgame. But now it's time to wave. It's time to move straight over to the endgame. 6 zone is moving. Height has to stay dynamic. Everyone in midground has to be careful. Beams taken on people who are moving around. Scouts is all the way up ahead. Richard Slack is up near the top spot, looking to see what he sees next. And Janice is here too, stuck in the middle of the fray between so many players. A crash pad will set him free towards his next spot. But how many times can he do that before it's too late?
He's gotten in the zone. Other players who are near him, Mongrel, Moki, they're in the endgame again, but can they get past the big points? That 30th place, ooh, a big tag from Genesis on Dietrich, starting to heat up again. He got 6 eliminations last time. That crash pad does eventually work out. Thankfully now he has some momentum to move forward, and there's Zone pulling all the way towards the coast. Janice has got it. He flies and flies, but gets beamed at the same time. 80 HP now. He has to get back into it.
Everyone else is catching up as he makes these rotations, though, without any eliminations. Wolfies has eliminations in the feed. We have Surprise with a double back-to-back. It's 25 people left alive with Lutwick all the way up top on the high ground. Moki, with a sliver of HP, can chain launchpad to launchpad if it's possible. Krajes is right ahead of everyone else as well. Top 5 looking for his next shot. Mongrel is the one also surviving in this end game. It is so stacked, so close. One shot. The next one, Carmi down. One person on Mongrel's box. He has to crash pad out. He has to stay safe, and Alex goes down to zone.
And that's revenge on the player who took him out last game. Now he's moving forward. Mongrel 2.0. Is he here to stay? Who's on height? It's Letwick, Janice, and Mongrel on the screen right now, but still so many people in this game. Wolfies, Blackie, they're all here. Reason 2. This is going to be a one for the ages.
Janice and Bricolino all the way down to the low ground, but up top it's Letwick with so many other people right below him in the mid. Janice is by himself in a world of his own, though. Letwick is battling. Peppa Pig up on height. The shockwave launcher goes up, but it's not enough. Letwick almost taken out in the same box as Mongrel. He does get that shot off. Mongrel is there with the elimination. Now Janice is getting all quiet on low ground. The game is just happening for him, around him. Everyone else is battling box to box. Wolfies is down. Jumps up. Mongrel there with another elimination. Peppa is still controlling height. Wolfies goes for it, but gets slapped out of the sky as he gets held down, and Janice gets another elimination.
But Mongrel's still tunneling forward. 14 builds remaining. He's challenging height. He's about to take it, but he's going to run out of materials to do this. Thankfully, these guys are not challenging too, and it's going back in the dirty docks. Yes! On to Reason. Revenge for that day 1 performance. Now, 3 people going to fight back-to-back against low ground. Janice goes down, but Mongrel's starting to fight as well. He might get more. He might get more in the zone. He's pressuring. He can't get any space. No HP left down below. Mongrel is about to win this game with 7 eliminations. All he has to do, it's rack. Waits until he comes through. Oh, even more pressure. More pressure coming in through the window, through the grates, through the cracks. And there is no space. He has to break now through big metal walls. It's old builds.
It's just a little bit of a dream for Rax here. Mongrel is looking to wrap things up. The first shot, the shield was there to block it, but Mongrel is up top. Can he get that jump tack classic down for a 7th elimination and the win? He can. Mongrel, from the depths of the storm, from the boxes of his enemies, rises to the top with a victory royale.
That he does, and there was such an impactful duel throughout that game, but Mongrel finally does it again on day 1. He had an incredible win, but it wasn't quite enough to propel him all the way to the top. Today, though, he's going to be there, at least contesting for the top 2 so far. We've got to check out. We got game 3 coming up, but before that, we got some highlights and a breakdown.
Good old Mongrel fighting the victory royale, ending on the 200-200 El Clasico. Look at this guy, guys. This is what we need to see. This is the gas we need heading into these last 4 games. Mongrel with the VR, you'll love to see it, Sundown.
I mean, Monogram is just one of the absolute best players we've seen in a while in Europe. We talk about just the high level of ability and his ability to get into boxes, pressure opponents, and execute in the end game. I mean, so many of those eliminations came in the last run. It's no surprise Mongoloid was able to take the top spot there.
He did it in a strong fashion. We're talking about confidence here, Zeke. Straight up confidence.
Bro, we are, but look, top spot is still being held by none other than Janice, who in that game placed 4th with 5 eliminations. So he's still here, keeping Mongrel at bay, but SD, the winner from the first game, is also keeping pace, the eliminations being the difference in the tiebreaker. Boys, we gotta run, especially Reason and Wolfie's here. I mean, guys, this is gonna be a day, I can already tell.
I'm telling you, it's nothing but the biggest names right now at the top here that are really making the wave. Players that we knew could do it, but now they're just putting up when it matters most here. And even players like Rax and Krej's up there, right? There's a big tidal waves coming in hot. Here's your second page, though, as we lean on down. 17 points is going to be the 11th cutoff, and then things are going to drastically start to tie up as we get closer and closer towards the bottom.
Yeah, you can see we got Jachu, Floki, Andalex, Carmi, Percolino, Peppa Pig, Virtus Pros, Jamside, Fori Surprise, Team Queso, Yuri, and Gambit Toos currently taking up 11th through 20th, and then 21st through 25th, we have Juker, Downs, 2K, SB, Nate, Shadow, and then Gambit Letwick currently just barely owning the tiebreaker against Moki from Gen G there. So Moki barely off pace, but right on the outside looking in to make those grand finals. Versa, Huddy, Blake, and Fusion also just behind right now.
And I just wanted to say, players like Moki are closing the gap off that, sad start. She got popped in the head, and when she was rotating through Risky, taken out early, right, just completely eliminated. And then this game, little ironic, she kicked it off with her own sniper shot to really propel herself back into it and start earning some points that she's going to desperately need to close the gap, because a bad game 1, but a good game 2, that's the kind of confidence that you're going to need. That's the mentality that it takes to be a solo champion.
And she's just showing us she's still not down for the count. With 4 games left, we'll have to see if she can make it. That being said, let's get ready to set it into our next game in just a moment. Boys, I gotta say, Moki, if she can make it, I'm gonna lose it. That's who I need to qualify.
Yeah, she's been very impressive, but we're going to take a peek at some of the movers and shakers in the lobby. One thing to note is, while it is a very placement-heavy format, is how do we get to those placement matches? Who is taking early game fights? Who's taking mid-game fights and trying to beat their opponents? We see Jamside, the veteran, picking up 2 eliminations there as well. His other Russian counterpart, Gambit 2, getting a good execution and push here. And these are the players that you can expect to be taking and executing on these fights. I mean, we saw Reason do it so many times during the qualifiers, and he's continuing to do it in the heat, phasing up through the wall and taking what should have been a disadvantageous fight against Stena and winning it anyway. But as we transition into the mid-game, we have 2 of the young English Lords really stealing away the spotlight, Wolfie's being the first one.
This is what makes the EU region exciting. It's not just the fact that they can pop off in the mid and early game. It's that there's so many different players that like to do it. They are the real unsung heroes of the quality of entertainment that is brought to the EU region and just the Fortnite experience as a whole, right? There's not a lot of players that have the confidence to fight this early and really get the ball moving, right? Really get that player count to start dropping. In good fashion, though, you gotta go back. You gotta watch the highlight from Mongrel. Here's the full perspective, because it was a little chaotic before. Let's sort it back and break it down for you. Mongrel, with nothing in the tank, just look at his ammunition there. He only had 12 AR bullets up until that right there. That's his 4th elimination, and he was running out. He wasn't actually able to secure the impact. It wasn't until this end game right here where he finds Reason in the storm and he jumps down is that he gets the solidifying material and the extras to kind of hold out the rest of the game.
Yeah, and notice how he's doing this with literally just the weapons he had in his inventory, and then going and utilizing the siphons and the very minimal materials you get from that and whatever his opponents had left over to convert it into a monolithic victory. Congratulations, Mongrel. Very well done there, and now on pace to see him in the grand finals, but we still have 4 matches left.
That's true. It's all going to be, can he hold on? I love, as you kind of mentioned, the loadout, a couple greens, and the AR there. And I guess, you don't even need to carry meds at all. If you're getting siphons left and right, you ain't need to heal. Don't even worry about it, Mongrel. The question for me is, can he hold on strong? This is a great, initial game here. But with 4 games left, there's still a lot of other big names that can make that strike.
And I was going to say, we've seen players have great starts before and literally hit a red light, a stop sign around this 26-point threshold. This is where the pressure is really on to secure the final stretch. The last 7 or 8 that you need in your 4 games, it seems like it's going to be easy because it's right there, but it's truly not.
Man, guys, this is what it's all about. We're still not even in grand finals. This is our life. This is the life of Fortnite that we do live. We are getting ready to jump into the next set of games in just a moment. I mean, Sundown, give me a name. Give me one person you want to see pop off in this next game.
Moki. I want to see Moki put together out of that early game again, establish yourself, push into that top 25. I would rather see her getting above that threshold than having to just hold on and maintain than necessarily having the pressure be on her and go and look for eliminations. While she's totally capable of going and taking those early in the mid-game fights, I feel like she's best when she doesn't feel like she has to take those fights and instead can opt into the ones when she feels comfortable going for a refresher. If she's able to nail that, I can totally expect seeing her in the top 25. However, if she falters again early, it could really spell disaster.
Well, we'll have to see if she can, guys. It is time to head into game number 3 of EU, so let's send it back over to Casters to jump on out of the battle bus and hit the island.
It's the deciding point, the turning point for a lot of players like Sundown mentioned with Moki. It certainly is. There's a lot of places where this could go as we go into game 3. As we try to break that halfway mark. Right now, there's players who completely look like they're out of contention, but with 4 games to go, there's still possibilities.
Yeah, I'm looking at people like Martaz, Moki, not completely out of it, just right on the brink, 26th place. Hopefully she can get right in, but if you had a strategy, this is the last time to really go for it and implement it before a quick switch up in the final 2 games.
Switching over to Mongrel. The first time we get a look at the early game for him, it's been starting to solidify. After that day 1 qualifier where he tried the pontoon, decided instantly that that was not going to be the play. Switching over to the Fortilla, and in this heat specifically, 3 players here. You're used to seeing 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times you'll have people going with strategies and switching them last second, which changes things up. One thing that stayed the same, though, is Mongrel's performance.
Yeah. Last time he actually was here in heats, he won the same game that he just won here with 7 eliminations. So mirror performance for him. That last time in FNCS Duos, it was Benji Fishy, his partner. And unfortunately, even with that, he did not qual. I already referenced the battle that he had against Nate and Andalex at Sweaty Sands. This time it's not going on, but it might be happening in spirit on the leaderboard.
So is it good overall? Or is it a curse, basically? Is it foreshadowing that he won't win again? It is heats, though. You got to remember you want to be top 25 overall. Getting first is very good for that morale, but getting by these 100 players who are also so good is a blessing.
Now looking at Toos, already starting to farm out the main building. That's a sign that potentially he doesn't have what he wanted out of here. Kit potentially could not have spawned on here, but definitely somebody to watch because he was the only person who won 2 games throughout the qualifiers. That has changed now that we're in the heat, so it's a little bit more consistent. We obviously had yesterday in heat 2. We had Tayson win 2 games, and then also Kiku. So Toos has company at the top, but a little bit more consistency also means, hey, there's still another chance for Toos to start doing what he did best throughout the qualifiers, especially what he did on day 3, to win out that tournament against ex-Swedes.
I would have honestly expected him to have a win already. But you got to remember, if you were watching these last 2 games, these zones have been on the absolute north side of the map. Toos is landing at the bottom, near Caddy Corner. Yes, he has that loot, but how much of an advantage does he really have if it's not really in his house where he gets to make his moves on his side of the map? I think in this zone again, it'll be somewhere near the center or the top side, so Toos will have to migrate towards the game once again. SD, who ended up winning out again, is up against Light. And both these guys have traded so much damage up against each other. SD has shields, which is good, but Light is one with Chuck Splashes, so he'll have some more natural HP to be able to survive any type of fall damage or big shot taken straight to his health pool. SD also has a lot of time to pop these shields. Light's already popped in a quick edit to just save his life, but for how long? Just a few seconds spot for ST. Isn't enough. Trapped behind one last pyramid edit. ST has to move. He has all the edits. But Light knows all the moves. He's too fast. And ST's down.
For the first time falling off spawn, he's going to be frozen at third place, 26 points. Light had the advantage of that fight. You pointed it out. The chug splashes, the quick healing to get back into it.
And then look at what SD misses out on, right? This entire placement threshold. From victory all the way to top 75, he gets no points. That's 14 points that SD's now going to be frozen in time from, barred from. And no eliminations either. A point for every one. He actually ends up going down, so doesn't see anything from this game again. Currently, I believe, is in third place, and there's only going to be more people taking over his spot. He's going to fall further and further.
Saw Vortex significantly throughout the mid-game, especially up on that mountain near the old grotto. He's going to be a fight against Nate, who was fighting similar position right here. Last time Vortex had the glider gun, so he made that from the authority. I think this time maybe an earlier disengage, and this is a build fight. Nate getting a lot of height. He has it again, glider gun, and there it is. He had it through the cone, all the way up. Nate was not expecting him to land right there. He was hoping that he could get a little higher, but Vortex makes the precision shot from the glider gun to get right on top of it. And that cone edit, unfortunately, does not work out because going up the verticality rather than the other side, Vortex will capitalize again on other people trying to make plays on him.
It's very interesting to see how he plays out his early game. We always tune in with him with maybe just 1 or 2 eliminations and really look at how he plays towards the end of these games. But right now, we can see he's playing perfectly on all fronts. This is one of those spots we saw in a previous game that got really hairy, especially when Zone wasn't beside it. Sweaty Sands. People like Andalex love to land here way back in the past. Repeat it again in solo sometimes. You have to remember that one person can have many drop spots, though. Between him with Sapiros, who's going to be moving by. 2 people right now, taking a little bit of a vacation in this POI.
And for the first time, we do have a zone that kind of favors this side of the map, at least first. We did see Versa do a lot of work at conditioning this spot earlier in the qualifiers. There was one moment in particular where I remember Versa kind of sitting on top of this building, even as Zone was coming through, and catching. Could have been Ensar, actually, who tried to make his way up, but in any case, he won. And did basically what he's doing right now with his own coming in, trying to hold players and discourage them from being here in the Sweaty Sands.
Yeah, he really wants people to know that this is his own hotel. He kind of owns this entire POI. I believe it was Mongrel last time who we ended up taking out at the beginning of Grand Finals, and now we see him nowhere near this POI. So Versus taking out one Titan from Sweaty Sands. Sapiros will be able to hold him back, though. There's a cost of trying to condition players, trying to make them used to this type of story, that this is my spot. The cost might be his life. No, it's Ensar that goes down. Sapiros. Versus has to play catch-up, too.
And again, the zone pulls farther east. Similar situation this time, though. Frenzy Farm going to be in the center of the map, so it's definitely going to be slightly different. But all those players who have been having success from their early game spots, the ones who haven't fallen off spawn like we already saw for Esti. This time, it's another opportunity for Janice to do what he does best, survive until the end, and have duels for these final moments. That's why he's at the top already, 5 points ahead of Mongrel.
Chaos, though, for these guys all the way up on the leaderboard. Reason already got taken out. Well, we saw Sapiros beaming people down. Break here with 7 points. Not near the top, but has an opportunity here in Game 3 to get slightly higher. Will be bunkered down. No more shields left. Floppers, you can use an end game. Have to be popped to survive. Nice jump shot there, though. What an awesome angle. Now Gripsy has no shield. This is an even fight for a break to get in, and wow. 100 plus damage off of that charge into the box. Break now has shields to kind of push this third party further back. He's sitting in the middle of the road right now, but looking really good so far in this early game.
And we do get a peek at the Tooth inventory, and again, it has Kit Shockwave launch. I believe that's now 3 out of 3 for him. But But game one, you saw ending up getting contested by Janice, landing on him. And somebody took him out slightly before that. In any case, he hasn't been able to survive all the way towards the end. That's the difficulty when you actually land caddy, is that people start to focus you a little bit. And also very difficult to get any sort of setup, depending on how you played the vault and whatnot, though. Box fight on the side of zone. If this takes too long, you might have to spend one of those shockwaves.